Morning, everyone. So for about 2, maybe 3 months now, the first question almost everybody I know asks me is, so are you going to make it? And I don't think they're talking about me personally. The question usually seems to be about, are you going to make the goal, the $15 million goal that was set for the Promise in its first year? And Salim and I, when we were talking about this event this morning, talked about, okay, what would be the right way to stage it? And I, using my old newsman's hat and lens, said, well, we've got to start with that. And Salim said, no, we've got to start with the kids and the story of the work. And I think what's so profound is that is precisely right, because the story is ultimately about the work and the impact that we all have. It's really not, are we going to make it? Although I'm coming to that. It's, are our kids going to make it? Are we going to make it possible for them to achieve the possibilities and potential that they have? Are we going to transform Pittsburgh in the way that we know we can? And so I'm so delighted that he persuaded me into starting with that perspective rather than just the money. I remember this newspaper too. I remember this news story, and I remember precisely what I thought when I saw it, which is these two men are crazy. Usually, when you start an initiative this big and this bold, you have some money lined up, and you're ready to talk about how many people are going to step in to fill the void. And here was this huge, big, amazing idea, and these two men just stepped forward and said, "We're going to make this happen in Pittsburgh." And one of the things that impresses me now, standing where we are at this juncture, is that's sometimes what leadership looks like. It looks a little crazy. You're willing to take on something huge and bold. And I just want to acknowledge Mayor Ravenstall for that leadership that he displayed back then, because it got us going and it sustained us throughout this process. So, Mr. Mayor, I really want to thank you. And I just want to add my thanks as well to UPMC. I've been in and around philanthropy most of my adult life. And I can tell you that $100 million gifts don't happen very often. These are not common things. This is exceptional. This is an unbelievable gift. We call it the second largest to a school system in history, and it's hard to fathom that. I would just like to underscore that is an amazing investment in community, and I want to thank and acknowledge UPMC for the extraordinary role that it has taken on in backing the Pittsburgh Promise. So a few of us were talking before this about the fact that when that challenge was issued back in December 2007, as Bob Sindrich and I were talking about it this morning, he laughed and he put it so succinctly what I was trying to say, which is, we had money then. The world was a different place in December of 2007. It was before the economy changed, and even then, what was being set forward for this community was a stretch goal. If you think about raising $15 million a year for a brand new initiative that has no history, to do that and meet that match every single year was an extraordinary task to put before the community, and then the economic recession started. And what I'm here to tell you today, just to cut to the chase, and then I'll walk you through it, is that despite the worst economic recession in 50 years, despite the worst fundraising environment in a generation in this community, despite the hardship that the community has experienced, Pittsburgh stepped up and we met the promise. All right. Back in May, when the report that you have in front of you was put together, the situation looked pretty much like this. And I have to tell you, when we were talking about it in May, we said, well, given everything that's happened in the economy, this is pretty impressive. This is pretty amazing to be able to even tell this story. which is that we had raised $12.2 million. Yes, we were $2.8 million short of our goal. But again, given the economic circumstances that Pittsburgh and the country were facing, it seemed as though that was pretty darn good and a story that we could hold our heads up and tell with pride. However, as of June 30, we have actually reached the goal of 15 million plus. And I will tell you that as of a week ago, we expected this number to be just 15 million by a hair. And there is money coming in even now. And the good news is that all of this money over the 15 million under the terms of the very generous grant from UPMC counts against next year's total. So any excess there is already into the pot for next year. So to say we're grateful just doesn't even begin to do justice to how we really feel about this.